Hello and welcome to Pastor's Perspective, sponsored by Biola University, ranked as the most comprehensively Christian university in North America. My name is Brian Perez, and we are here live on this Wednesday, the 17th of July, 2024, and we'd love to chat with you, so give us a call, ask us your questions. The phone number is right there on the bottom of your screen if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, but if you're not, let me give you that phone number. Actually, I brought my...
I am ready.
He's ready. He's been off for a couple of weeks. Do you remember the number?
888. Well, it's on the sign right there.
Well, yeah, but I'm assuming you're
Let me try it. 888-564.
He's peeking.
Again, that's 888-564-6173. And we're really counting on some good calls here on Pastor's Perspective today.
Oh, our audience never fails to deliver with the good calls. And
did you? I think, Ed, you did figure this out, right? That it's also 888 John 17:3.
He told me that.
Yeah.
Brian told me that.
So if you wanted to get biblical about it, you could.
Yeah.
You could
What is John 17:3? I don't even remember. So
you know.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
And this
told
is
me
eternal
before.
life that they
This
may
is
know
eternal life.
you.
That's it, yes.
Who is the
You
only true
didn't
God.
remember either, so you were looking it up. So I don't have the whole Bible memorized like Brian Broderson does.
That's right.
So.
That's right. Bobby Conway's here, too. Hi, Bobby.
Hey, guys. Good to be with you.
Do you realize you said Bobby Conway's here too, but you actually have not introduced me thus far, so people...
I kind of did.
You did not say my
You keep
name.
track of these
You
things?
did not say my name.
Okay, fine. It's Dr. Ed
Well, you don't have to say the
Stetzer.
doctor. I'm just saying that people know Brian Broderson. They know Bobby Conway, but Ed Stetzer is serving at the most comprehensively Christian university in America, Biola University.
We're working on a jingle for the Biola spot, by the way.
You're not.
I am.
We could sing, "You come to the Talbot School of Theology at Biola University."
Not quite.
Wow, that was really bad, wasn't it? That was like a whole level of bad.
It rhymed.
That was rough.
I mean, not,
It wasn't as
theology
bad as
university.
that woman singing the national anthem this week. That was all
That's
over.
true. We'll give you that.
Did you see that one, Bobby? That was crazy. So she,
Man, it was terrible, yeah.
and I feel bad because she has subsequently, I don't know who that was. I understand she's famous, but she has subsequently announced that she was drunk and she's checking herself into rehab.
that,
So
yeah.
I'm for that. For people who have addiction, rehab is good. But I did send it to my daughter. We'll be
Just
at the
don't sing when you're inebriated.
Yeah, exactly. My daughter will be singing at the White Sox game for the national anthem at the end of July.
Wow.
And so I sent that to her, and I said, "Don't do this." And then I felt guilty that the young woman was struggling with addiction. So,
Yes.
but I guess it is.
Where's your compassion?
I know, but I didn't know. I just thought she was a bad singer. But she
Well-
was. Then I found out she was famous.
And you should.
What is her name? I don't
Compassion on her
Andrus
for being
something?
a bad singer.
Ingrid Andrus or something like that?
So do you know who that? Did you know who that is before the national anthem thing?
No.
Okay, we're just old. I
Yeah,
think,
that
I think
is her
she's a young
Ingrid Andrus.
famous singer or something. So
Yes.
I heard about this, but I didn't witness it. But she's entering rehab. Well, good for her.
we're good. We're good and glad when people enter rehab. That's not that we want rehab, but that's a good thing for people to get addiction recovery.
It means they're admitting that they have a problem.
That's
and
right.
they're-
And the first step is admitting that you have a problem.
That's right.
Of the 12 steps. She's a country singer and songwriter. I'm working at the Wikipedia article. They can't put it on Wikipedia if it's not true. So she gained worldwide, I guess she wasn't, I thought she was famous, but it says she gained worldwide fame after an interesting rendition of the Star Spangled Banner at the Home Run Derby. Prior thereto, who writes prior thereto? Her local U.S. breakthrough, More Hearts Than Mine, 2019, peaked at number 30 on the Billboard Hot 100. So I guess she's a country singer. And I didn't know that.
And they say there's no such thing as bad publicity. So, yeah, this is the kind of thing that might get her
I think remember
famous.
that one that went viral. It's Friday. You know that song?
Vaguely.
Yeah. So she
yes.
ended up becoming famous because of that bad song that kind of went everywhere.
And who can forget William Hung on American Idol?
That was amazing.
That was the
amazing.
best.
He
That
was
was the
amazing. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was. William Hung.
What was his song?
She Bangs. He did the Ricky Martin song.
Okay.
In a very...
Which is probably the first time the phrase "She Bangs" has actually been mentioned on the program.
Yes.
It's a song.
Could be.
That is,
We'll have to look that up.
That's I just want to publicly apologize to our listeners for Brian Perez.
I was just answering a question.
If you want to respond to it's Brian Perez at gmail.com.
Not. Yeah, somebody else has that. Mine's close, but
Yeah.
not quite that.
Okay. Well, that escalated quickly. And it was not my fault, just for the record.
See, he's gone for 2 weeks, and,
Well,
we missed him.
If you had just not mentioned it again, it probably would have just gone over.
I know, but now you're going to get letters. Brian Broderson at gmail.com. So, yahoo.com
Yeah,
or
send
something.
us an
AOL.
So-
AOL, baby.
Yes, we do not endorse Ricky Martin songs here.
No.
So
Or singing the national anthem while
badly.
you're drunk.
Right, or just singing it while you're drunk. That's what you don't want to do that. So
True. Okay, 888-564-6173. What do you guys want to talk about? We want to talk with you about it. 888-564-6173. Brian.
So, where you been, Ed?
I think I was in Korea. Wasn't I in Korea last since I've seen you?
No, you came back. You've been
And then I
back
was in
on the
Chicago.
program.
So I was in Chicago. We gathered together the Digital Ministry Consortia, where we're talking about how, the internet, a lot of Christian ministries doing good stuff on the internet, but a lot of it's like what's going on? Like, are you really seeing all those people come to faith in Jesus? So we gathered together. The head of YouVersion was there. The head of Alpha was there. The head of Crew, Campus Crusades, Digital Ministry was there. The head of the Billy Graham Center was there. And we put together it's not even public yet, but we put together a group of kind of standards that we suggest for, and it helps donors because, people say, every 5 seconds someone clicks on this button, which means they receive Jesus. Well, what is that? I mean, really? Like, really? I want to know that people are connected to a local church, seeing life transformation and more. So that's what we did. And I was there in Wheaton doing it. Then I preached that weekend as well. Ron Zappia, my pastor in Illinois. So I preached for him. So, but yeah. And then Korea was when I wasn't, I think have I been?
You came to the studio
the day I
from
landed.
the airport.
That is true.
Yes.
That is true. So we've already talked about Korea. So again, I want to remind you that there are many wonderful questions you could ask at 888. I love to give the number.
I know you do.
564-6173.
Brian lives for Wednesdays.
He does because he doesn't
Makes
have to
my
say
job
the number.
easier.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Bobby Conway, I bet he doesn't have the number memorized. We could say right now.
Bobby just disappeared.
Bobby just literally disappeared. If you're watching on YouTube, Bobby's TV went, he's back now. Bobby, do you have the number memorized? It's a yes/no question.
The verse, but not the number.
Okay, the number for you to memorize is 888-564-6173. Okay,
That is it.
Flies past me.
Do we say it too fast for you, Bobby? Is that what it is? We'll slow it down.
wow. Are you making fun of him
It's
because he's
just
from
not
North Carolina?
relevant to me in the moment,
Yeah.
I guess. I just don't pay attention.
Bobby just
selective
prioritizes on his
concentration.
things. That's good. That's
Yes.
why like Steve Jobs only wore one outfit every day because he didn't want to clutter his mind with other things. Did you know that? Did you notice Albert? Have you ever seen Albert Einstein in anything other than a white shirt and dark pants?
No.
Exactly.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg is the same, right?
Yep.
He kind of just wears
Because they say that way you don't clutter your brain with other things.
Yeah.
Well, look at me.
I know.
I have no brain clutter.
Clearly, based on what you're choosing to wear, there's no. For those of you who can't see, which I guess is everybody because you're sitting down, Brian, when we came in today, I'm I'm looking like a dean. I'm the dean of the Talbot School of Theology. So I'm wearing a blazer and got my black shirt, which I wear every day.
And I'm looking like a Southern California coastal pastor.
Calvary Chapel pastor.
Yes.
For sure. Like,
Yeah.
hey, dude, how's the waves?
That's right. That's me.
What's up, dude?
But it's bro. My 17-year-old grandson is staying with me right now with his friend Nate, and those guys in a minute conversation say bro 1,000 times.
No way, bro.
Bro.
Bro,
It's
bro,
just
bro.
bro.
It's
Everything.
so we were talking about you. I'm sorry, we're supposed to get these questions. The number is 888-564-6173. So Eric Geiger just texted me that he wants to learn how to surf.
He wants to be
And I said,
surf bro.
I know a guy. I know a guy who knows how to surf. So I need you to teach Eric Geiger and I
Okay.
how to surf. Can you get a big guy up on a board?
That will be challenging.
What about a big board?
That would have to be a big board.
Hey, easy.
It's actually like we could just get a boat, and that
Okay,
would
that would be good.
suffice.
Pretend we're surfing. But Geiger, he's not. Geiger's thin and fit.
No, I know Geiger is.
Yeah,
He's,
but not me.
yeah.
But not me.
You know what? Here's the crazy thing. I was just talking to a friend of mine about surfing because I surfed yesterday.
Yeah.
First time I surfed in California in literally 5 years. And but I was telling him about a friend of mine in high school who surfed. And back in those days, I weighed like 150 pounds. He weighed about 210. And I always marveled, like, hey, he's a big guy, but he could really surf. Well, he got up to like 380, 400 pounds, and he could still surf.
So I'm
Wow.
first of all, I'm like a lot less than that. A lot less.
Okay,
You're making it sound.
Well, that's good to know.
So I can
was
surf.
a little bit.
I'm a lot less
uncertain.
than that. So anyway, wow. 888-564-6173.
Let's do it. Eric Geiger, we're coming for you.
Yeah,
We'll
if you're
get
if
you.
you're at Mariner Church, you can say Eric's not preaching. So I'm preaching this weekend actually at Mariner
Okay.
Church on Colossians chapter 4.
Great.
But if you see Eric and you're listening, there was a guy in the elevator here coming up to the radio station. He's a Mariners person. He says, "Do I know you?" And I said, "I'm Brian Broderson." So he said, "No, I didn't say that." But if you see Eric Geiger, tell him that you got to go surfing with Brian Broderson.
Yeah. You know, we should do like an OC. I told Glenn Packiam when he moved here, I
Glenn
said,
Packiam's a
you're
local
going to need
pastor.
to surf.
Let's do it. Let's
so we
do
need
it.
to get the full local pastors together.
Would you actually? And you
would
you
be a
went
blast.
yesterday? Did you say for
I
real?
did, yeah.
Okay. And did it still work? You haven't been on it for 5 years.
Yeah,
Is it like a bicycle?
The surf was very small.
Okay. Perfect
and
for me.
The water was a little bit cold.
But the Pacific is cold.
It is, but it said the temperature on the surf line said 67, but it was more like 64.
Okay.
So that's cold. But we'll get it sorted.
All right. I like it.
So keep on listening for details of when this pastor's surference is coming about. It's not a conference, it's a surference.
Yeah.
Meeting at somewhere by the ocean. 888-564-6173.
Now, that was pretty cheesy, Brian.
It was pretty cheesy.
You know,
Do you surf, Bobby?
That was.
Yeah, Bobby surfs.
I did a little bit. You know,
I can
I'm
see
not,
that.
I'm not a shredder like Broderson, but you know,
My shredding
did some-
days are way, way behind me. I'll tell you that.
So before we go to the questions that were sent in online, since we've got lots of phone calls already, let's go to those first. And maybe we'll do some of the online ones a little bit later on. But let's go out to North Carolina. Here's Tsuyoshi. Welcome to Pastor's Perspective. Are you there?
Pastor,
Go ahead.
my name is Trafton, and I'm from Image Church with Pastor Bobby, actually.
Do you have any concerns about his pastoral leadership that you'd like to share with us here live? No, I'm just kidding. Tell us your question.
Well, my question
That is great.
So, you know how in the Ten Commandments, one of the commandments is, thou shalt not murder. But God allowed David to kill Goliath, and he also told Saul to kill the Amalekites. So I'm very confused on why thou shalt not murder is there. Like, why wouldn't they add, like, extra words asking, like, thou shalt not murder just to murder, or something like that?
Yeah, well, let's have your own pastor answer this question first, and then we'll see if these other guys want to chime in. Bobby, what do you say?
Well, it is so good to hear from you. Did you say, is this Trafton?
Yep, it's me.
Okay, Trafton. Well, I bumped into your mother today at Starbucks, and it was a lot of fun seeing her. And it's good to hear from you. So, distinguish between murder and kill. And so David was in a warlike situation. And so when soldiers are taking the lives of others, they're not guilty of murder, but they do kill. So all murdering includes the killing, but not all killing equals murder. Hopefully that makes sense and clears it up for you. But I'm glad you called.
I think it's good. It's a good question because it doesn't call for pacifism. We would respect people who have pacifistic views, but doesn't call for pacifism. And people in war, and then there's a whole theological thing about just war and all that, in war or in self-defense. I mean, there's not so, and we haven't seen capital punishment in the Bible. People would debate it in the New Testament, but certainly in the Old Testament. So killing is not always forbidden. Murder, which is a crime and a sin, is.
Pastor Brian.
Yeah.
Well, and murder. The idea behind murder is that you're either hate this person or you're wanting something this person has, so you're going to get them out of the way. You know, there's an evil intent where in war, you're defending your country, you're defending your family, these kinds of things. It's not like you hate the guy that you're having a war with, but you're realizing that, somebody here is going to win or lose. And, it's a lot of times it's about freedom and things like that. And so it's a different situation. David and Goliath is a great example. Goliath and the Philistines were basically saying, we're going to just roll right over you Israelites. We're going to take over your cities and towns, and we're going to become your masters, and you're going to do things our way. And Goliath was kind of the guarantee that they were going to be able to do that, because he was a mighty warrior. He was about 11 feet tall. And so David is the one out of all everybody's frightened to death at this guy Goliath. Nobody, even King Saul, he doesn't want to go out and fight him. But David has this courage that God gives him, and he goes out. So,
what do you think, Trafton?
Yeah, it was a good response. Thank you.
Well, good.
Trafton approves of your response, Pastor. I love this. What a great call.
Now, Trafton, just in case you don't know, your pastor is a guy who spent most of his life answering Bible questions. So any question you can ever dream up, you just go right to Pastor
Yeah, but
Bobby.
I imagine that it's, he doesn't do a call-in show except this one. So Trafton got to call in here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that is a unique opportunity to call into a radio show.
And what we do at Image Church, which is pretty cool, is, and Trafton knows this, we end every service with 15 to 20 minutes of live Q&A.
I heard that.
And so,
which is weird,
that's
just to say
been a good thing.
publicly.
Why do you think it's weird?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's probably very Jewish first century, but so like every week, do people stay for this Q&A, or do only certain people stay, or what?
Yeah. So the way
we
that
should
it
say,
works
Trafton,
is,
thank you for your call, but go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. No, when I'm done with the message, I literally just say, now we're going to transition into the Q&A portion, and I'd like to invite a few of the other pastors to come up and join me. And then people begin to text questions into the number on the screen, and one of the pastors receives those, and then he just fields those questions and then asks us. And it's turned out to be, one of the things we're trying to do is help people in a culture of doubt to know that their questions are welcome.
Yeah.
We're wanting to create a little bit of body life, but for many people, I even had somebody, just I think yesterday or the day before, I hear it often how much for some people it's their favorite part of the service. They just love the interaction and the body life feel.
It's cool.
And so it's been a great time, and I think it's good. It helps people to know that that their pastors are thinking about these.
Yeah, they can address real issues. What percentage of people stay of typical 100? What percent stay for the Q&A?
We don't. Everybody's there. We're not done with the service. It's actually part of the service before we wrap up with announcements. It's actually part of my message. So the message happens, and then it's like, hey, let's interact about the message. And I turn it into kind of a group time, and then people ask questions about it. And then after that, the person comes up, closes us out with kind of a responsive creed or our mission statement or something like that, and then people are dismissed.
Does it always revolve around the message, and does it stick to it if that's where you go?
Well, so that's what I would advise. That's how I would advise people. Not like for you, I would broaden it, or for Ed, I'd broaden it. But for pastors that aren't used to this, there's a couple ways to do this. Number one, I would say you can have questions come in from the previous week, and then you can reflect on them and then answer just those. And if you need to think, because some people aren't good on their feet necessarily, or if it's just on your particular talk. But I say things like, hey, feel free to ask questions about, church history, psychology, culture, philosophy, theology, only because I want them to know the kinds of things that we can talk about. And you'll end up with a variety of types of questions. And it's truly great. And then I like to bring up another person or two in the church, because I want people to see lay people or other folks that are like them answering questions. And so it's kind of a discipleship opportunity where you get some people saying, man, I'd love to do that with you sometime. And so I have about 3 or 4 or 5 different people I've brought up at different times to be a part of that with me. And I look in that moment to really let them be a part of that. So it's cool. I think people in this culture, Lisa Childers, even in fact in her new book, which was interesting, said that this is something that they're really thinking that churches should shift toward. And I thought, that's great. We're already doing that. So
a pastor's perspective segment, basically, at the end of your
At the end of every sermon.
That's cool.
How long do you preach, Bobby?
exactly. About 40 minutes.
So you preach 40 minutes, and then you have 15 minutes of Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
And do you still do worship, or have you thrown that aside in favor of Q&A?
No. Yeah, no, we have 30 minutes of...
So that's that's
about a
like an
30-minute
hour
version.
and a half service total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long's your service?
An hour and a half.
Okay. I don't think we're that long at
Yeah.
Mariners.
And sometimes I preach 50 minutes.
Yeah, well, I've heard it's a little long.
Yeah.
So
But nobody in the congregation thinks so.
no,
They're
that's what
going,
I've heard. They want more.
They want more.
They want more.
Yes.
Give us more Bible. That was interesting.
Trafton, thank you for your phone call today on Pastor's Perspective at 888-564-6173.
You know, I've tried. I've done a few on Sunday night after the teaching on Sunday night, but I've found that I've been a bit long-winded on Sunday night. So I get like, I'm already 10 minutes over. Right. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna have to dispense of the Q&A.
Well, we do that. So I like doing the Q&A. So when I do 2 series a year on midweek at Mariners, and I forget what I'm doing. I'm doing this fall on Christians in the Age of Outrage, which is right there. So the book that I wrote, but also, how do we kind of walk through the election season with gospel clarity? And we do that, and people love it. But I would say it's a little. It's a little different for Sunday morning because I think of, but I think probably Bobby's such an apologist. It's probably where seekers and people who have open questions can come and ask questions. That's great.
Yeah, that's one of the things as well. I think of the atheist girl that became a Christian. I met with her again today. The non-believers that have come, I think they really do like that. And it is an opportunity to kind of to do that. And other thing people can do is, I think if your culture's not used to it, for sure text the questions in. But then you could even do like maybe a series a year, like during the month of Christmas or Easter, where we're going to do some stuff that's going to address some of these type of questions with the real sensitivity toward the type of objections people have.
Hey, question on, remember the Muslim lady that came into the church and
Yes.
the head covering sermon and all that?
Yeah.
Is she still around?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. That's a great story.
It's pretty cool. And you're showing a video. I'm seeing a video of Bobby
Incredible.
preaching right now and doing the Q&A. And might I also say, too, that's kind of a very nice backdrop there Bobby's got, like looking out on the glass porch. It's very nice.
Yeah, it is. It's a brand new facilities. It's a huge rec center, but it's beautiful. It's just set in a nice tree area.
Nice.
And so,
Nice.
yeah.
But I noticed you're not wearing socks. I think Ed would probably
he not
be
wearing
a little
socks?
bothered
Oh, it
by
went
that,
away.
Bobby. So
Well, you should wear socks. What are you guys like? Can you guys not dress professionally? I mean, what are you wearing, Perez? You got pants.
I'm wearing
on.
socks and pants.
Socks
yes.
and pants. I mean, we're grown-ups here.
Perez is a professional.
He is.
You
he
gotta
is.
hand it to him. He
But
always
you're-
comes in with a nice.
You've been here so long. You can do whatever you want. You don't brush your hair. You don't wear pants. When you say wear pants, people are like, "What in the world?" But I mean by that wearing shorts. Again,
Long
if you'd like to talk about his attire, it's 888-564.
You need to learn a little bit of cultural sensitivity because you go to England now. You're kind of doing the England
do.
thing, and you don't be talking about pants.
I know that means something different in
'Cause
the
you're
UK.
gonna be in
I'm aware,
trouble.
and you lived in the UK a long time. Pantalones in Espanol. So
All right.
Very nice. Bobby's church website is imagechurch.live, by the way, and you can watch past services. Now, are the archived videos, Bobby, do those have the Q&A too, or is it just your message? Or does it vary?
I should know that, but I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Because I'm watching one right now, and it looks like
Yeah.
it's wrapping up, and it's
Yeah, I don't think they do actually.
doesn't look. Yeah.
Okay, one thing to notice, Ed. Look at Bobby.
look at Bobby.
Where's his Bible?
Where is his Bible?
His Bible's
there.
sitting over there.
Yeah.
This guy preaches his Bible without actually picking up his Bible most of the time.
Are you
Because
saying he
he's just
doesn't
got-
use the
no,
Bible, or he
I'm
has such a
saying
good
he's-
memory?
I'm saying his memory is phenomenal, and so
It's impressive.
Yeah, it is impressive.
I'll be there in 2 weeks, brother, hanging out with Derwin Gray at Transformation Church. We'll be down the road from each other.
Nice.
Oh man,
You guys gotta connect.
You're going to
I
be
mean-
preaching there.
Yep. Yeah, I don't get invites from your church, but Derwin Gray was nice enough to invite me. 888 silence 888-564-6173.
Cool. Okay, let's go to the phones now and go back to the phones, I should say. Barbara in Virginia, listening on Equip FM. What did you want to ask us today?
Hi, good evening. I have a question for the brain team. You all are so good. I heard a young pastor make the comment. They were basically saying they wish somebody would kind of pass away. And I went, what just came out of your mouth?
Whoa.
And they go, well, Paul wished people dead. And I'm like, could you show me that?
Wow.
They never could get around to it.
I can't imagine why.
And I'm like, I've never seen that. So you guys really know everything about the Bible.
Every single thing. There's not a thing that Bobby Conway doesn't know about the Bible.
Except John 17:3.
That's right. I had to look that up.
Yes.
Well, Barbara, you're right. There is no such passage where Paul is wishing anyone dead. He does say something a bit harsh in regard to the Galatian heretics, the Judaizers.
What was that, Brian Broderson?
Well, he says that he wished they would go all the way, and their big thing was circumcision. So he said, I wish they'd kind of just go a little bit further than circumcision and castrate themselves.
I just want to thank you for inviting me to be on Pastor's Perspective. Everybody, thank you for your time.
Hey.
We'll see you next week.
Hey, don't you talk about this at...
We do. When we teach the
at
Bible
Talbot
at the Talbot
Theological-
School of Theology, we teach that Paul is very strong
Yes.
when he says, I wish they would just cut the whole thing off.
Yeah, okay. So that would be the closest that he got. And he also, remember Alexander the coppersmith, he said, may the Lord repay him according to his works. He did me much harm.
Right.
May the Lord, I like that
And
prayer.
he does say about turning over to Satan.
Yeah.
So, that's 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 9.
Yeah.
But nowhere do I see him. I mean, you can maybe some imprecatory Psalms, but I don't see that among Paul. I think that friend of yours is making it up, unless Bobby Conway has an alternative explanation.
And it's not just a friend that Barbara's
You guys
referring to, it's a
killed it.
young pastor. So that's kind of problematic, I would say, that somebody would be teaching that kind of thing. Hey, Bobby?
I mean, he did in his unconverted state want Christians
Literally
dead,
killed or held
but
the
that's
coats.
not the example we want to go after.
Maybe that's what the young pastor was thinking of. Well, he did enrage some people to be killed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way. Barbara, does this help you?
Respond to that.
How do you respond to that?
I respond to him. Yeah.
I think you already did. You already said, show me, and he didn't. So I would say, Pastor, I don't think we should wish people dead. I mean, I think ultimately, for all of us, we've got to ultimately recognize people are made in the image of God, worthy of dignity and respect, and
Jesus
not wish
said,
anyone dead.
Jesus said, love your enemies. So, I mean, that's complicates it a little bit.
Yep.
Even even the worst of people at
Yep.
times. I mean, we can all have those emotions at times. You see somebody that's very evil, and you think, man, we'd be better off without that person. But that's something we got to leave in God's hands.
Bonhoeffer wanted Hitler dead.
Yeah, understandably, right?
I think there's a movie coming out about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know. It seems a little weird. So we'll see. I might be for it. I had Bonhoeffer on the radio program, Ed Stetzer Live. I had Bonhoeffer. I had Bonhoeffer.
I was going to say,
Brought him back, got the Witch of
Tell us
Endor to
about
help. Sorry, obscure Old Testament reference there. So I had Matthew Kirkpatrick, who's a Bonhoeffer scholar.
Yeah.
And we talked about Bonhoeffer for the church. So if you're interested, people can see that.
So is he written a new book, or is there like a new book out on Bonhoeffer?
Just recently, it's just published.
By
It's
this
called
guy?
Bonhoeffer for the church.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And I had him on the program 2 weeks ago, right here on K-Wave, the flagship station.
Nice. Okay, we'll be back with more of your questions. Ed Stetzer, what is that phone number?
It is 888-564-6173.
So grab an open line and ask your questions of Brian Broderson, Bobby Conway, and Ed Stetzer. Again, that number is
888-564-6173.
You just never know when I'm going to call on you again.
Bobby should do it.
Bobby should do it. Yes, good idea.
Yeah. I think I'll leave that to you guys.
Okay, fine. 888-564-6173. Back in a few. Welcome back to Pastor's Perspective, sponsored by Biola University, ranked as the most comprehensively Christian university in North America. Find out more at biola.edu. And answering your questions today.
You wanted to say your little French pronunciation.
Edu.
Edu. Biola.edu. We were just on break. We were talking about my daughter is doing Torrey at Cambridge. Our Torrey Honors College is a wonderful, great books program where they read books and talk about them all the time. But I love that. Just to see in these, right now the campus is I was there this morning. It's just, I want people. It's a camp there right now, so it's a bunch of middle schoolers, which is fine. But seeing it vibrant with students is just super fun. We need to get you guys over. We should do a program.
Well, I agree.
We should.
From Biola University.
Let's
do it. Done.
You can make it happen.
I can. I'm the dean. That's why I wear this blazer and I don't wear shorts.
Well, let's do it. I will come in shorts.
Okay, you'll come in shorts?
Yeah,
you come to a university in shorts.
Yeah.
Just today I met with the president came by, Barry Corey, suit and tie every day. Every day. But that's the uniform.
Barry's a sharp dresser, though.
He is. That's a uniform thing. And Matt Hall, the provost, that's kind of their thing.
Yeah.
So I do wear this. I have the untucked shirt and the jeans.
Yeah.
So it's kind of business on the top and party on the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's like a ministry mullet.
Yeah.
It's like, if you look at me in the shirt and the blazer, it looks like he looks official. Untucked shirt and jeans, ministry mullet.
That's a mullet. Yeah.
It's true.
That's what I think every time I look at you.
Thank you.
I
just think you should brush your hair every time I think of you. How long does it take you to get your hair like you didn't work on your hair?
It takes about probably 6 hours because I do it when I'm sleeping.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you brush your hair in the morning? No, you really don't. You just
do I look like I brush my hair?
No, you do not look like you brush your hair. But I didn't know if that was
because I didn't. I don't brush my hair
ever. Wow.
You run your fingers
I can tell you
through it or
Bobby has
something.
worked that hair. Bobby, I wish I had Bobby's hair. We've had this discussion before. But you really just wake up and go
this
on
is
with the
my
day.
brush my hair.
right here.
That is amazing.
comb.
That's amazing. I hope when I'm your age, I got that much hair.
Well, some of us got it.
Maybe we should go to the calls. 888-564-6173.
Exactly. I want to do an email question sent in first because this has to do with current affairs.
Okay.
In fact, something that just happened this past Saturday.
Wait, President Trump?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the assassination attempt. So Catherine's wondering about Revelation 13:3, which says one of the heads of the beast seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the wound had been healed. This wound is also mentioned in Revelation 13:12. Can you provide insight as to what this is referring to? And then what I want to add is, what is this not referring
Well, it sounds
to?
like her question, is she asking if that's President?
She's not saying that.
Trump?
She's not
Okay.
saying. I'm adding because you're seeing it all over social media. You're seeing
I did see
memes
it.
and everything else
I got
that
people
are,
texted to me.
oh, could this be referring to this?
Bible prophecy.
Well, it says a fatal wound, and I don't think a grazed ear is a fatal wound.
Now,
so.
let's not make it sound like the grazed ear wasn't a big thing. That was a big thing.
No, I would say. I mean, it was astounding
Yes.
that it was just a grazed ear.
It was crazy. I mean, have you seen the
Yes.
videos where it's like he turned his
Yes.
head and
No, it's
I'm
Yes.
praying. People are like,
It's
how they
insane.
pray. I'm praying, as many others had, that this really would impact him substantially.
Yes.
And we don't. I mean, a near death. This you can't get any closer to dying
you can't.
than have a bullet nick the side of your head.
Yeah.
And so I've been praying for the Lord to use that and to work. Have all things in Him.
Right. That was our prayer Sunday.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah. For that very reason. Yeah. But the Revelation passage. This is something in the future. This is a very specific person. Donald Trump is not that person. And so, no, there's no correlation between the two events.
Bobby Conway?
I did see the video that's being circulated. I'm not sure if you guys have seen that. I'm tending to be really skeptical about all that stuff myself. There was things in the video that, apparently this video was 6 months ago, and this guy sees that, he's going to be pardoned for all of his, offenses, and the charges are going to be dropped, and he sees an assassination attempt, and a bullet zips by his ear. He survives death, going down to his knees, and then it says the eardrum was, shattered. So I go, I don't know that took place. At least
Okay,
I haven't.
Bobby, I need to
heard
back you
that.
up for a second.
And-
You're talking about a prophecy that you saw. We were actually talking about the video where Trump turned his head at the last moment. But you're talking about the video, that prophecy that went all around, that you right?
Yeah, and I was wanting to interact with you guys, see if you guys got a chance to
I'll watch
see
it.
any more about that, or how you. Yeah, what did you think of it? I thought there were some interesting.
It was interesting.
It's truly 6 months ago, man. Yeah.
Oh, wait, so this guy recorded
I
this
didn't
6
see it.
months ago?
Didn't see
He's
it?
not He's not just saying...
No, this was, and it looked legit that 6 months ago he kind of predicted this assassination. But as Bobby pointed out, there were details in there that didn't happen. But some level of details. Now, I don't know. I guess, someone once said that if you put a group of monkeys in a basement and start hitting on keyboards, eventually they'll write Shakespeare. So, I mean, are there 8 million of those videos online? And this one was particularly it. But it was interesting. But I just want to go back to her question real quick and just say one thing. If somebody dies and then comes back, that person's evil, then you could say maybe that's that Revelation passage. But the Revelation passage does say dead.
Yeah.
So just so you know, so an assassination, it would be I died and I'm back. But anyway, so back to that prophecy. So you haven't seen the prophecy.
No, I haven't
Okay.
seen that one. No, I saw
the
the other
video.
video that I think you're referring to, Ed, the one where it shows like this computer-generated image
Of his head.
like the way his head
Yeah.
tilted and the bullet passing by and so
Yeah, so
forth,
it
which
made
is-
Newsweek this video, and it says a video of a man predicting the assassination attempt on former President Trump has resurfaced online. Steve, I don't know how to say his name, Keokalante, Brandon Briggs, and he foresee the attempt on the former president's life months ago. This actually made Newsweek. Now, Newsweek is not the same Newsweek back there. It is. You found it there. Newsweek's not the same Newsweek, but said he saw an attempt at President turned light. While some of the details were incorrect, which is what Bobby was pointing out, the method by which the near-miss assassination is correct. This bullet flew by, the person saying this bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it burst his eardrum. That's the part that Bobby was mentioning.
Did it burst his eardrum?
It did not. That's the prophecy.
Okay.
So again, I'm of the view that God does and can miraculously reveal things ahead of time to people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know enough about this, but it was kind of interesting. Bobby brought it up.
Yeah. So a couple of the things then. Number one, obviously, if somebody gets a message like this where Joseph, it was very specific, but is it possible that somebody could, have a lot of detail and maybe, didn't know how to interpret the eardrum with the grazing of the ear, falling down to his knees and worshiping. He did fall down to his knees, but maybe it turns him into a worshiper if it all panned out. But the things that did happen is an assassination attempt, exonerated for the charges that were against him, the bullet going by his ear, which is incredible. But then it talked about how he's going to win the election, and there will be a horrific famine. A depression greater than the Great Depression that is going to take place. And then I think that he will have, the business prowess to lead us out of that. And then there'll be a revival within the church. So there's a lot of things that time would only tell on that. But when you watch the video, and then to think that there could be an economic depression coming, that wouldn't sadly surprise me. That was the part that didn't seem like really good news. I don't like to think about a financial collapse.
But he's going to fix it, so it's going to be okay.
And maybe he's talking about the collapse that we're in right now, how inflation and prices are 27%
I am the world's biggest
higher.
skeptic on this kind of stuff.
You're not much on that. But you believe in prophecy.
I do, but
you're
I just don't believe that this has anything to do with prophecy.
Well, no, okay, agreed. But in general, and by the way, right now the Dow Jones is up 1,500 points in the last 5 days. So this doesn't feel like an economic depression at the moment. But his point was
exactly.
The matter of fact, it's gone crazy. Okay, so let's go down this road just a little bit. So I liked Wayne Grudem's book, Prophecy in 1 Corinthians and Today, and he sort of explains that prophecy in the New Testament is different than prophecy in the Old Testament. And
I didn't agree with him.
You didn't agree with him?
Point, no.
Okay. So let me explain his argument, though, so people can know. So that the Lord might give a word to people that might not be like, thus saith the Lord in King James English, but I believe the Lord's saying we might consider this. I found his argument persuasive. I would be some differences. But so my question for you is, what would your view of prophecy be in 2024?
Well, I do believe in prophecy, and I do believe that somebody can receive a word from the Lord. Like Grudem, when Grudem, he even uses the situation with Paul where Agabus comes to
Agabus
Paul
and the belt and all that sort of stuff,
And he says, well, Agabus didn't totally get it right, but he got it generally right.
Which is what he says, exactly. So that's why I was thinking for this.
But I would argue that that Luke didn't give us all the details, so I don't think you can say Agabus didn't get it all right.
So his thesis is that modern day prophecy doesn't have to be as specific and accurate as Old Testament, where you get stoned for it.
Yeah, I mean, I just personally, I mean, obviously, like we prophesy when we preach. The Bible
so everyone believes in prophecy. So the question is, do we believe in New Testament revelatory prophecy?
But what I'm going to say is, while you're preaching, you can be preaching genuinely prophetically, and you can say something that's not right.
Right. True.
So
that's true. But do you charismatics traditionally refer to a word of knowledge? Yeah. So is that something
I think a word of knowledge is going to be accurate versus mingled with misinformation.
So you would see a prophecy like this and say, because it's inaccurate, I'm not going to I'm going to discard it in general. Yeah. So, Bobby, what do you think? And I don't know if you're up on the Grudem stuff. So it is very niche-y that Brian Broderson and I just started talking about a very obscure book that 8 people read. So don't worry if you haven't. But what are your thoughts on prophecy, Bobby?
Well, tend to be skeptical as well. This was actually one of the first times I've seen something go around that I thought, even though there were some details that were iffy, it just felt like uncanny in some ways. But I think that I'm not skeptical in the sense that God does give people stuff to say, but I do think it's, a lot like wisdom. Like I think Pastor Brian has an ability to speak wisdom into people's life. So I think like wisdom, and then there's future prophecy. I do think like that word of knowledge is kind of clear wisdom. But then the laying out like of clear things like Joseph and dreams, that's the part that I'm more skeptical of. But I don't know. I mean, I just feel like I'm cautious, but I definitely think stuff like this happens. I would never want to say it doesn't. Mm-hmm. I just want to be discerning. And so open but cautious, that whole.
Some of the reason that where a lot of us are scared, like, for example, we're talking about President Trump here, former President Trump. I mean, all these prophets prophesied that Trump would win the last election. And then there was this huge reckoning.
Exactly.
Archie Kendall wrote about it. I think Michael Brown wrote about it. This huge reckoning among the more, probably more charismatic Pentecostal than we are. But they were like, this was really a bad use of this as well. So probably good to be skeptical. But as Bobby said, there's a lot of interesting details here.
Yeah, I mean, it is fascinating that some of the things apparently that this guy said were seemingly almost literally happened.
Bullets' ears. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of detail just there.
Yeah. So. I mean, that is. Yeah.
What about the verse that talks about the anointing of the high priest? There's blood on his ear. Have you heard that one too? It's just like all these things are. It's like people.
That was a sermon, Brian.
What?
That was a sermon that somebody preached.
Yes.
No,
it was someone. We know who it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it was ear though. It was toe.
Well, it was all three. It was toe, finger,
right.
Toe.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, I get it. I watched that clip and I thought, well, I mean. Basically, he was calling for, he was calling for Trump to take this to heart, and not. I don't think he was making a correlation between the blood on the ear and the high priest blood. I think he was just connecting the scripture,
right,
even though it wasn't relevant. But it was a call to Trump to really take seriously what's happened and really turn to the Lord. And he got a ton of flack from
a lot of flack. I believe I sent that to you.
You did.
So
from people who said, "How dare you say that President Trump is not a Christian?"
Yeah.
I mean, so that was interesting.
From a rather vocal Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is actually a sermon. I've just seen like a meme or something.
That.
No. I didn't come up with that. I've seen a meme or
there's
something.
A lot of things that have been. I mean, this kind of stuff brings out some strange.
Okay, but let's talk about something that I think is more legitimate to talk about. Let's talk about for a minute. Let's talk about providence.
Yes,
because that's a question too.
Yeah.
Did God save Donald Trump's life, or was this just he turned his head and it just was?
So I believe in providence.
Yeah.
Because, I think, yes, God spared President Trump's life. And part of the reason I'm praying is that he will see that. He said that.
Yeah.
And this will
he did.
really just impact him deeply in the soul of his being.
Yeah, because you think, I've thought of this. I mean, how many people have shared the gospel with Donald Trump?
Yeah.
I mean, he has heard the gospel over and over and over again. And I think to this point, he is basically... I'm going to go on a limb and say this, probably get in trouble from people, but I think he's just used Christians to promote his
That's
agenda.
Brian Broderson at gmail.com.
So I've never thought that for 1 second that he's a Christian.
Okay. Never once for a second. Okay.
No. So, but maybe this is the wake-up call that says, all of this stuff, is, you got to take this seriously.
And I think I saw Greg Laurie say some stuff that was, I think a lot of people and he's been close to the president in ways that you and I have not been. Right. I think a lot of people who are close to him have said that they're praying for this to be a real spiritual wake-up call for him.
It would be great. I mean, if it would turn him into a nicer person, that would be a blessing.
Oh, gosh. And by the way, speaking of presidents, since we've started the program, President Biden tests positive for COVID. So let's just throw that in there as well. And
what?
And President Biden,
there's still COVID.
There's still COVID. I know we quit a long time ago, but President Biden just got COVID. So.
Well, luckily now the CDC has said that it was a big mistake to cause people to get vaccinated. So
I don't remember them saying that part, but I'll believe it.
Not in those words.
Redfield said it 2 days ago.
Okay, good.
The former director.
Okay, there you go.
The CDC.
All right, good.
So Biden's got COVID. Let the conspiracy theories begin.
I know. Right after the assassination attempt. Oof. All right.
Let's go out to Murrieta, California. Here is Elle. Welcome to Pastor's Perspective, Elle.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I'll just get into it. I appreciate what you guys said in the beginning of the show about the woman singing the national anthem and she was drunk, but then you guys went a little bit deeper talking about addiction and how it just really, affects our lives, things like that. So I appreciate that, somebody coming from a recovery background. So my along that note, my question is, I'm 5 years sober, and particularly with sexual addiction. And I just was wondering, it's been my experience, and I just have observed that it almost seems like it's segregated, the topic of addiction and sexual addiction, pornography. Like, you go to Sunday, right? You have that Sunday experience, and then you go to recovery groups, you go here, and I just was wondering, because I don't want to overthink it, and I want to keep my question as simple as possible, but, why does it seem like, at least in my opinion, that, that topic isn't really talked about as much at church? And, when you look at Barna and you look at all the polls and the stats of just how rampant the issue is.
Now, when you say the topic isn't discussed, do you mean like an entire Sunday morning service devoted to the topic of sexual addiction? Is that what you're talking about?
No, maybe more so like the culture in the church. Like maybe it just seems like it's not really talked about a whole lot. Like it just seems almost like still taboo. And I get it. There's a lot of shame about it. That was a big, my character defect is shame. But, I firmly believe, I don't have anything to shame because Jesus paid for it, with his blood on the cross. But then it's just like, how come we don't talk about it?
That's good.
I don't know.
Do you use the term, you said sober. So is that when somebody's recovering from sexual addiction, is that the term that they would use in recovering from sexual addiction as well?
Correct.
Okay, that's helpful.
Everybody there might be slight nuances in what they define as sobriety, but it's still like you're sober from those behaviors.
I think it's a good question. I think in part, I think it's a comfort level with discussing addiction is probably higher with people who have substance addictions among one another. So if I got alcohol or I've got drugs or I got something of that sort. And I think that probably when it comes to sexual addiction, that probably people end up having those conversations in different settings. So like I just interviewed Kay Warren for my podcast, Stetzer Church Leaders Podcast. And we talked about Celebrate Recovery came up. So I think in all those cases, that would be a recovery from addiction, but probably the comfort level of being in a group of people and saying, if we think about AA, hi, I'm Ed and I'm alcoholic, it would probably be a little bit harder, a little bit more, I guess, to just get up and say, hi, I'm so-and-so and I'm recovering from sex addiction.
Right.
Maybe not just for the person, but also for maybe the people there. So maybe that's why. What do you guys think? Long silence. Radio doesn't work with long silence.
I don't. I just don't know that, like a Sunday morning, the context lends itself to deep diving into those kinds of
No, but
things.
I think he asked about Sunday morning. I think Elle said, no, I'm just talking about in addiction recovery in general. So why do we segregate that? So in other words, you go to Celebrate Recovery or whatever, and you talk about drugs, you talk about maybe overeating.
But not sexual.
But not sexual. I think that's what was closer to the question.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is some... I think there's probably some skepticism among some people around that language in relation to sex, because of course you're talking with alcohol, you're talking with drugs, you're talking about a substance. So this, I think, in some people's minds would say, well, I understand a substance addiction because there's these components that you're going to actually become physically addicted to this substance. But when it comes to something like pornography, for example, or sexual activity, how is that equal to a substance?
Oh, you would say like Overeaters. There is like Overeaters Anonymous, which is very connected.
There. That's
a substance. That's fair. That's fair. But, I mean, I think there's a debate.
That's what I think from what I've heard from people. That is the question mark is there really such thing as sexual addiction?
Right, that's what I hear as well. And I think there is. I think that people, it's mental, it's habitual, but I do know that that's a debate.
Yeah.
Where there's not as much a debate about drug and alcohol abuse.
Right, exactly. But I think too, scripturally, I think people would call it a bondage to sin. This is slavery to sin. This is what this is versus, because I think when you think addiction, you think therapy. You think I need, professional help. I need counseling versus I just need to repent and I need to get my life righter with God so I can get over this. So I'm not saying that I agree with that position. I'm just saying that I think that is.
And I think for a lot of people, they need to repent and do that. But I also think there's some people who get trapped in a spiral.
Beyond that, yeah, I think so too.
Bobby Conway?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would want, is it L?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's called? Okay, I would want L to, not feel, discouraged by the conversation, just informed on some of the different takes. When it comes to, thought patterns with sexuality, you're looking at breaking, habits of thinking that can impact your emotions to a large degree and have a hold on you. And there is, an overwhelming bondage that can take place. I do believe there's porn addiction and sexual addiction that people have. I just think it can look different than having a chemical addiction to something. But it's like a mental, visual addiction that stimulates a person into terrible patterns that put bondage in the individual, creating consequences and destructive patterns in this individual's life, like any type of addiction where deception, hiding, secrecy, further into things. So there is some similar patterns, but I think there is wisdom in using certain spaces to talk. And I think it's wise, like if you're teaching through 1 Corinthians and you come across chapter 5 and you're going to get into sexuality, you can teach about it. Or if you're going through Proverbs chapter 5 to 7, or you're talking about Joseph and his temptation that he flees from it. I mean, the Bible will give you opportunities to talk about it, even if you did a series on, sexual ethics. But I don't think you're just living there, obviously. We don't want people to feel shame. We want them to understand what the Bible has to say about it. And then yet we also want to realize that, alcoholics best help each other, and people with sex addiction best help each other. And some of this stuff can be pretty heavy, and non-addicts don't always understand. In fact, sometimes you'll get more hurt trying to talk to a non-addict if you're looking for them to know how to minister, because they might just think, well, just knock it off, right? It's like if I look at an anorexic person, I would think, you just need a bite to eat, and you just need to eat. It's obvious. You can't, but it's not, and so I think a fellow anorexic person could really minister, especially one that has made it through and shared their experience, strength, and hope.
Elle, thank you for your phone call today on Pastor's Perspective. We are out of time.
We
will be back
Bobby's
tomorrow.
answer is great.
Go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. Bobby's answer is great.
Thank you.
Oh, you did say it.
Super
yes.
helpful.
Yes, it was a great answer.
Can I just chime in and say amen?
Amen. We're going to run out of time. The music's playing. We can hear it.
Today's episode will be archived on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts in just a little while. If you want to hear it again or want to share it with someone that you know, that would be fantastic. And then we will be back tomorrow between 3 and 4 p.m. Pacific time. So call us then, especially if we didn't get to your call today. For Brian Broderson, Bobby Conway, and Ed Stetzer, I'm Brian Perez. And Pastor's Perspective was sponsored by Biola University, ranked as the most comprehensively Christian university in North America. Comprehensively Christian, Biola. You like it?
No.